I want to talk about why people have a difficult time making big changes in their life and improving their life. And the defense I want to talk about, and you've heard me be talking about psychological defenses often for people, is the feeling bad defense. That's one thing I've noticed in thousands of hours of coaching and therapy is that when people approach a change or kind of setting the stage for creating the life that they want, they end up feeling bad about it. It's vague in general. Most of the time, they can't even really put a finger on why they feel bad about it. So I've determined that it's a defense against the change process. So let's talk about what's happening specifically so people can parse it out. So when someone goes to create a better life for themselves or make a major change, they have to prioritize themselves. It's what I call putting yourself in the center of your own life. It's out of my book, Four Laws for Radical Change. It's the first law. And it's basically the way you use personal power and personal authority to get what you want out of life and create the kind of life that you want, and a meaningful, purposeful life. It's very oriented towards that. So when people do that, when they actually decide that they're going to try to do that, and in my experience, historically, many times people have spent large parts of their life trying to do that without success, they get what I call this guilt or feeling bad defense. They instantly feel like they're doing something wrong. Many times it's about obligations or responsibilities they think they have to other people or things that couldn't possibly let them put themselves in the center of their own life and then make the changes that they want. So they're confusing a couple things. One thing, most importantly, is they're confusing prioritizing themselves with being selfish in a bad way, like neglecting responsibilities or obligations. Now, that's where that feeling bad defense comes in. So that's something to clear up. I've talked about that in other videos. Putting yourself in the center of your own life and prioritizing yourself and creating purpose and direction in your life for the things that you want is not being selfish in a bad way. If anything, it's being selfish in the best kind of way. And that confusion will operate very effectively as a defense. So people will just give up if they think that that's just being selfish or self-centered to do that. They'll just give up on the change process. They'll stop the change process. They'll stop figuring out how to prioritize themselves. They'll give up on any kind of goals or standards they want to set in their life around physical fitness or job and career or relationship. And they'll end up settling for the status quo, what they have now, all because they feel bad in this vague way. So what I ask people to do is really break up this bad relationship that people have with prioritizing themselves and putting themselves in the center of their life and making positive changes and creating positive change with themselves, with this idea of being neglectful or a bad person or irresponsible to others and other things. And once that separation occurs and people start to see, oh, these are two things that are not connected at all, they're actually very, very different, they start to be able to catch that defense and that habit that they have in their minds of feeling bad every time they go to do the things that they want to do. So what I do is I have them see that actually the things that they want to do, putting themselves in the center of their own lives and prioritizing themselves and making those changes, whatever they are not only good for them because it aligns with their purpose and meaning in their life and will give them ultimately the kind of satisfaction that they want out of their lives, but ultimately they'll be better for other people and other people in their lives. So I really get them to see that orientation as being very significant for them and very different than any kind of neglect that they would think they would be doing on the other end of things that would be a problem for them morally or otherwise. Once they're able to see the difference here, they can see that it's a mistake in their thinking. It's been a defense occurring for a long time. And when I say it's a defense, a psychological defense, a feeling bad defense, what I mean is that making changes, even though they're desirable changes for people and positive for people, they're difficult. It's hard to do because you're going into areas that are unknown for you. Many times you're doing a reorientation of your identity and the experiences that you want to do in your life. And there's a lot of implications for that. So people fear change, real change, because change is difficult. So what happens is the defenses then operate. You'll get as a set of psychological defenses that can operate to derail that process. And one of these defenses here is this feeling bad defense. And what the feeling bad defense does is it takes the very kind of sensible idea in some ways that by prioritizing yourself, you'll be selfish. and then turns it into a problem for you. So it uses that strategy there to make it look like by putting yourself in the center of your own life, prioritizing yourself, you'd be selfish, and then you start to feel guilty. So it's a very kind of effective defense that way. So that's why it has to be seen through. And, that's what I'm talking about now and ask you to look at and then parsed out and made different. So you can be free of the psychological offense and how it interrupts your change process. So when you see it as a defense, which I want you to do, see it simply as a psychological offense, your change process, it'll get easier for you to deal with the fears around being assertive and starting to, have got that kind of personal authority to make the kind of changes that you want to do and create that life that you want. You'll just get more and more comfortable with doing that. And you'll get more and more comfortable with seeing the defense and how the defense tries to stop that. So why don't you focus on this work? And I hope you found it helpful.